Okay, so in the last part of this little mini series, I want to show you what I do once the item sold. So it finally sold. It took, I think, a little under 2 weeks to sell. So that was good. I was really hoping it would sell quickly and not have to wait, a couple months so I could just get this whole little mini series figured out. One problem is that the buyer is from Puerto Rico and their address was wrong on eBay. I didn't feel like showing you all that stuff. I actually took care of all that last night, but basically I contacted them and said, hey, eBay says your address is wrong, and could you check it and see if you could fix it? So I sent them that message through eBay. They got back with me, said, here's the correct address. I changed all that and now it's good to go. So what I like to do whenever I sell an item is normally, if you watch my videos, I don't have the top taped up. So this is the point where I go around and go ahead and tape it up. And then I double check my measurement and my weight just to be sure, because every once in a while I will, when I'm making my listings, I'll write something down wrong. So I want to make sure it's absolutely correct. So I've already weighed it and it is still 5 pounds, 9 ounces. So we're good there. And in measurements, it is still 16 by 14 by 9. So we're good there. So now we're going to jump over to the computer screen and I will show you how I do the shipping and all that through eBay. Okay, so I went to my eBay page, I went to manage orders, and I went to the orders that need to be shipped out. And I opened up the one for the taillight. And of course, the one time I decided to go ahead and make a video showing how I sell stuff, for whatever reason, they're showing the old style shipping page here. Maybe it's because it's going to Puerto Rico, I'm not sure. This is how it used to look when I first started, but they changed it and now it looks like this. It's the same info though, where you put in the package weight and dimensions and the options, all that kind of stuff. But this page here, the dimensions and the price, and all this is for a different item I sold. I'm just showing you the layout. This is what you should expect to see. It's something like this. This is the old style, but it's still pretty much the same thing. Got dimensions and the package weight and all that kind of stuff. You can choose your options here. Okay, so these taillights, this taillight sold for $69.95. And I gave them 2 shipping options, either priority, which is faster but cost more, or as a second option, I had parcel select ground, which is slower but cheaper. All right, so I thought I had put maybe parcel select ground on top, but that's not how it happened. I did have priority chosen first, so that is the price they saw for shipping. Then when they went to buy it, they realized that they could do it a little cheaper and save quite a bit of money with parcel select ground. So they chose parcel select ground. So like I said, the item is 16 by 14 by 9. It's 5 pounds, 9 ounces. They chose parcel select ground, but you could go here to choose different options. This is why I say it can get a little confusing to people and why I just keep it bare bone simple, because there's tons of options you could choose depending on if your item works or not. But anyway, they chose this. So this is how much they paid, $23.46. This is how much I'm paying for that shipping label, $23.46. However, if they would have chosen priority mail, they would have paid quite a bit more. So it was $23.46. They would have paid $46.60 to get it shipped to them. But through priority mail on eBay, they give me a discount of 18%, which is $8.44 cheaper than what the buyer paid. So I would have, for this same shipping label, I would pay $38.16. So I would have made an additional $8.44 on this item if they would have purchased it with priority mail. So remember, they would pay $46.60. I would pay that. That's a pretty good difference. But they saw this price, $46.60 for priority. Then they compared it to parcel select ground at $23.46. I mean, that is almost half price. So of course they went with that. Okay. But let me show you one more thing. So I still double check my prices with Pirate Ship, because sometimes it can be pretty good savings on there, but it didn't work out this time. So I know people comment a lot saying, hey, you should try out Pirate Ship. You can save so much money. But sometimes this eBay discount they give me is still cheaper than Pirate Ship. I'll show you how. So this item is only 16 by 14 by 9, but it's kind of heavy at 5 pounds, 9 ounces. So I thought maybe it would work and be considered for cubic priority shipping. That's where you can save quite a bit of money with Pirate Ship. And it would have been cheaper than this, all right? But it didn't work out. So I went to Pirate Ship, I put in all that same info, and here are the options they gave me for shipping. They gave me priority mail, Parcel Select Ground, Priority Mail Express. So this is super fast 1 to 2 day shipping all the way to Puerto Rico. Would cost $63.69. Nope, no way we're going to pay that because the buyer only paid this. Parcel Select Ground is the cheapest option, but it's 2 to 8 days. All right. And they gave me priority mail. 1 to 3 days. You get your insurance. But look at this. Pirate Ship is giving me only a 16% discount. So they would charge me $39.34 if it would have gone priority mail. But eBay's priority mail is an 18% discount, $38.16 versus $39.34. So eBay is still cheaper. So I've said that several times, but maybe it's the seller level I'm on eBay, or I don't know what it is, but sometimes, actually fairly often lately, eBay has been cheaper than Pirate Ship, except for the few times I found items that work within the parameters of cubic priority shipping. So anyway, let's go ahead and crack this because they paid for Parcel Select Ground, which is cheaper than if I were to upgrade them to priority mail. Sometimes I upgrade because sometimes it is cheaper, but I would never downgrade. So I would not sell this as priority. They pay priority, you know, that $46.60. And then I'm like, whoa, if I ship at Parcel Select Ground, it's $23.46. I could make an extra like $23 Yeah, I'm going to do that. No way. That is a downgrade. That would not be good. But since they paid for Parcel Select Ground, if for whatever reason priority would have been cheaper than that, let's say priority was like $21.95, then I would have chosen that because I would save a little bit of money and they would get it faster. So that's a bonus, but it doesn't work out this time. So we're going to go with the original what they chose, which was Parcel Select Ground, $23.46. I click the button, and then because this is going to Puerto Rico, there's some customs and things like that you fill out, but basically you just got to read it and make sure everything's correct, that it shows how much the item weighs and what's in the box, basically. Check mark, and then you can print your label. All right, so when you go to print the label, it'll be something like this. And then again, this is the older style page, but it's print label. And then it goes straight to my printer, which I'll show to you next. And I call it, well, not what I call it. What it is called is a Dymo Label Writer 4XL. That is the type of printer I use, which is a thermal printer. All right, so you put these rolls of adhesive labels that are 4 by 6 inch, and then somehow with heat it prints. It does not use ink whatsoever. I've never ever had to buy ink for it. I just keep buying rolls of labels. So let me show that to you. Whenever I click this to print it out, I'll show you what happens. Okay, so here is my label printer. You can see compared to my hand, it's not very big at all. It's the Dymo Label Writer 4XL, like I just showed you on the computer screen. And it's pretty cool. Just it prints the shipping labels that are 4 inch by 6 inch, and they come on these rolls of 220 per roll. And I just buy the generic ones on eBay. I've never had an issue with them. Some people buy the Dymo branded ones that are more expensive, but I've never had a problem where they always work out fine for me. So I buy these. It saves quite a bit of money. When I first got my printer, I bought, I think, 1 roll to make sure I liked it. And after that roll ran out, I bought, it was either 4 or 6 rolls at a time, and it will last me a full year. And I think it was a little bit cheaper if you buy them in bundles like that. But if you do get one of these printers, you know, like I think when I bought mine, it even come with like a partial roll. But, you know, just make sure it works and all that kind of stuff. Now, when I bought mine, I actually bought it used on eBay. And I kind of went middle of the range. I didn't buy the cheapest used one, and I didn't buy brand new and pay full price either. I kind of went right in the middle. But like brand new, of course, it should be fine, no issues at all, but it costs a lot more money. When I bought mine, brand new ones were probably like $150 or $175. They were kind of up there. And then used ones, you could get them for like 30, 40, 50 bucks, but like they didn't have the box, there was no manual, they might have been missing the cord cable thing that plugs it in. So you'd have to buy another one, and then maybe the cord you buy is a generic and maybe it doesn't work right, or, you know, I don't know. I just don't want to mess with that. So I went right in the middle, and I bought a used one that was not all scratched up and looked like it had been used to death, like a lot of them I saw. And it had the thing to plug it in and the cable to hook it to the computer, and it had the box and the manual and all that kind of stuff. And it was mid-range price as well. I think I paid about $100 for mine. It was totally worth it though. I mean, probably within a month and a half, 2 months of selling on eBay, I decided to buy one of these because I realized, especially with items going out priority, like I just showed you, the person was going to pay 46, but eBay would only charge me 38. There was like a $8.44 difference. That difference I considered going towards this printer until it paid itself off. It was totally worth it. So anyway, like I showed you, just take these little rolls. They go in real easy. It'll print it out. Usually it just prints one at a time. You tear it off and it goes. But of course, with this one time I show an item how to sell it, goes to Puerto Rico. It had customs, so it prints the label a little bit smaller and it puts it, for whatever reason, it has a second page it'll print out. But normally it doesn't do that. It'll just print one page. So let me show you how easy it works. So when I go to print and I do print label, it'll go real fast. And the other cool thing about this is this printer does not use ink, all right? It is a thermal printer. So it somehow uses heat or lasers or something like that, and it prints the dark stuff on this white thing. So I don't exactly know how it works, but here we go. It's basically just a big 4x6 sticker. Now I tore off the second page it prints out. It just has a dotted line, and I don't know why it does that. But anyway, I have a couple other things I need to do with this item to kind of take care of my records before I send it to the post office. So let me show that to you real quick. Okay, so now all I got to do is slap the label on the box. If you remember, I had the Post-it note on the side taped on, so I tore it off. And then also I had written on the box, you know, what it is and all that kind of stuff. And it had some sticker residue still left on there from a previous shipping label on this box because I'm just reusing the old box. So I just stick mine right over that to cover it up, make it look a little better. And that's pretty much it. So this is actually ready to take to the post office, but I have one more thing I need to do to keep records of my item on my computer so I know it's sold and can kind of see the money and all that kind of stuff. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, so now that the box is ready to ship out, it's got the label on there, I can take it to the post office. The last thing I got to do is just keep track of everything on my computer just so I kind of know where I am. These aren't like official records, but it just keeps me on track. So one thing I want to do is drag all of the photos I've taken, and see, I actually got more of them. I took way more photos than I needed. But anyway, what I do is I take all these photos, and if you remember, in my reselling folder, I had eBay. Then in eBay, I had one called New Stuff. All right, that's all of my new items I've taken pictures of. Once I took the pictures, then I dropped them into these separate folders. This one's car parts. It's all car parts. I have one for bags, one for books, one for cooking stuff. I just separated it all out. All right, so then within this, I also have another folder, which you'll see. So I just drag them up top to a sold folder. And then these are all items that have sold. Now, this is one thing I haven't been keeping track of as well, or keeping up with as well. But every month, what I like to do is go through and empty out all of these photos in all of my sold folders and put them on a separate hard drive, an external hard drive, just so I can free up space in my computer. I do the same thing after I make all my YouTube videos with all the raw video footage, the thumbnails, the pictures, the project files, all that kind of stuff. I take them off the computer, but I still keep them. So anyway, now that we're good to go with the pictures, now it's time to move on to the spreadsheet. Now again, the spreadsheet is not totally official. It's more of just me getting a good idea of where I am each month to kind of keep track of inventory. Not necessarily like profit, like super precise numbers. It's mostly just to know what sold. I get a pretty good idea about how much I made. But really all the better numbers are going to be on eBay and PayPal and all that kind of stuff. That's where I get them when I do taxes and all that stuff anyway. But what I want to do here is the line for what sold. So this right here is the date it sold. So it sold on the 25th. This column is how much the buyer paid for it. So it sold for $69.95. This is how much the buyer paid for shipping. All right, so they paid $23.46. And then you'll see this number is basically these two columns added together. That's how much the buyer paid in total. And that's just a simple formula up here, J205 plus K205. So see, this is J205. So basically it's just this column plus this column, and that one will automatically figure out for me. It's the same thing over here. This column is actually going to be Well, here, I'll show you. Let me kind of backtrack here. So this column is how much I paid for shipping. So if you remember, I ended up paying exactly the same amount as they did for that shipping label. So it was $23.46. So it's now showing $65.95. This is my profit column on the item, but it is not exact, okay? And what this is, I believe, is, let me double check here. Okay, so this is okay, so this is L. So it's this column minus how much I paid for it minus how much I paid for shipping. Okay, so that's what that number is. But it does not include my eBay and PayPal fees. And I've just seen different places where it's roughly 13%. I'm not exactly sure how much it is exactly. I don't know if it changes depending on items or whatever. So I always just kind of assume it's about 13%. So at the end of the month, I just put that down at the bottom. They actually just send me an email. It shows me how much I paid each month. So I just put that in. So it will actually be less than this. So basically, the eBay and PayPal fees are on what the buyer paid. It's not how much I paid or how much I made. It's on what they paid for it. So to figure that out, we can do 93.41 times 13%, which is 0.13, is 12.14. All right, so we take this number minus that. All right, so 12.14. So 65.95 minus 12.14. So I actually made about 53.81 on that taillight. And that is a rough guesstimate. So it might be slightly less or slightly more, but it's going to be somewhere around there. So I'm not exactly sure, but probably between 50 and 55 bucks. And at the end of the month, like I said, they just show me how much I paid in fees, and I just get charged for it. So, I mean, this is just a rough estimate of how much I keep, and it's not official numbers. So anyway, that's what I do, and it just helps me keep track of it each month. I think I've explained the color coding, but I can kind of show you again. I highlight things in red that need to be taken care of. Like for instance, this game here, someone bought it, but they paid this much. They're also going to pay some shipping, but I haven't received payment yet. So I'm waiting for the date and then how much they pay and then how much eBay is going to charge me. And then on this item, the taillight that did sell, like I said, they paid $23.46. For shipping, I also paid $23.46. But sometimes, like I showed you, eBay gives me a discount. Here's an example right here. It was a suitcase that sold. The buyer paid $94.95. They also paid $11.06 to ship it out. I believe that was with priority. So they paid that total, $106.01. So that's how much they paid for shipping, but eBay gave me a discount and it was $10.83. So that is, what is that, like 20 something cents? 83, yeah, like 23 cents or something like that. So I got a slight discount, not much, but a little bit. And that was on priority. Now, even on this line right here, this was a Nintendo Wii game that sold. The buyer paid that much. They paid that much for first class shipping because it was only a few ounces. It was like, I don't know, 5 ounces or 6 ounces or something like that. So they paid $3.78, but eBay only charged me $2.76. So I made, what is that, $1.02 off of that shipping there. So that is the profit I made. Of course, again, it doesn't count the 13% that I'll have to pay in eBay and PayPal fees. So anyway, I basically just do this just to keep track so I know what's sold, what's listed, what still needs to be listed. Like right here is a bunch of blank stuff. You can tell I need to still list all that. These have been listed, and then everything that's filled out like this I know has sold. So these aren't official records. It just helps me keep track of where I am each month. So anyway, that is how I ship out the items. It's pretty simple once you get into it. Like I said, go ahead and get you the printer and the shipping scale as soon as you can afford it. Even if you have to like sell some stuff locally just to get that money, you could probably do it with about $200 would be enough to get you set up with that. It'll make it so much easier. And I use, recycled boxes when I can. I do buy new poly bags and bubble wrap and stuff like that, but I try to get it as cheap as possible because as soon as someone gets it, they rip it open and throw it away. So why spend too much money on it? So anyway, that is how I buy and clean and prep and take photos and list items. I showed you why I pre-box it. And then once it sells, I showed you kind of what I do on eBay and just keep it real simple with shipping and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, There's probably more efficient ways to do this, better ways to do it, but it's just what I do to keep it dirt simple. It's worked great for the last year. Of course, over time, I'll get better with it and more efficient, but that's what I do. So hopefully you like that, and you go ahead and subscribe if this helped you out any, if you're like a beginner, and you get a better idea of what you're doing. And again, the program here I'm using was called Open Office. It's free. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it really helps you keep track of how much you're selling each month. Because if you didn't keep track of anything, it'd be hard to know if you're actually making money or not. You could be, you could buy $200 worth of stuff and sell it all, and end up making less money than that or whatever. And if you have no idea where you are, it's kind of not worth it. So you really want to keep track the best you can. So anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment what you think. So anyway, thanks for checking out this little mini series I made.